Hi, I'm Jay Tamburino with the Minnesota Bankers Association, and welcome to a Minnesota Banking Minute. Today, I have Ed McMurray from CoNetrix Security, and we wanted to talk a little bit about, if you've seen the last episode, it was all on external vulnerability or external penetration testing, and we kind of touched on a subject that I think more institutions need to focus a little bit more on, and that's internal vulnerability or internal penetration testing. And that's once somebody is in, what is exploitable from inside the network. And with that, Ed, how are you seeing it out in the industry right now?
Yeah, we're definitely, well, hi, it's great to be back. I appreciate you having me. So yeah, we're definitely seeing a push for internal penetration testing. It's kind of the next step, right, from external penetration testing, which has been a standard for years, because we're adopting that mentality of it's not if somebody's going to get past your external perimeter controls, but when they're going to get past your external perimeter controls. So when that happens, you need to have an understanding of what are they going to be able to do, and are there things that I could do now before that happens that would make that more difficult for them, to where they just don't have the keys to the kingdom as soon as they get past the outside controls.
We've seen a lot in the past on network segmentation and firewalling, internal firewalling in between network segments. And that's kind of what we're talking a little bit about, is saying, okay, well, they can get in and the external gets them to this subnet, but this subnet or this system isn't allowed to talk to any other one, so without proper channels through the firewall. And maybe we kind of want to break that down a little bit, because we can get really into technical jargon on this, but I don't think it's really necessary. I think a bank just needs to really understand what is the issue. If somebody can get in, what can they do?
Right, exactly. And that can be what helps you define what you need to test for your internal penetration test. Because if you just go to somebody and say, test my internal network, and they're gonna probably quote you a humongous project, because the internal network is a large exposure. You know, it's not like your internet presence where maybe you've got a few systems exposed on a few ports. Your internal network is going to be wide open. So if you do have an idea of what kind of scenario are we most worried about? Are we worried about phishing email? That would be a valid scenario. You know, if somebody clicks on a phishing email and the attacker gets access to their workstation, what can they do from there? Are we worried about a ransomware attack? Are we worried about some other scenario? You know, if you can limit it to something that you're concerned about. What is the threat you're concerned about? What are the internal controls you would like tested? What is the internal information that you're most worried about? And maybe ask the penetration testers to see if they can get that information. Or maybe you're worried about a certain set of servers that are your most critical servers. You know, could the penetration testers, given a small foothold on your internal network like an attacker would have, get to those critical systems? So, you know, picking what you want tested, or what you're most concerned about somebody getting, will really help you define the scope of your project, so that the penetration testers can spend their time where it's most valuable to you.
You kind of touched on it a little bit, but I'm kind of a firm believer in scoping that internal vulnerability or internal pen test against your incident response or your business continuity plan, going, okay, these are the known incidents or what we've thought about. And a lot of times a pen tester knows more threats than a bank would.
Right.
So a lot of times it's helpful to get them involved in the whole process, going, okay, what do you think should be tested? Where is my susceptible problems going to be?
Yeah, because that's the pen tester's job, right? They're supposed to mimic the attacker, so they should know more about the threats and how those could be exploited. So yeah, that's a great point. And getting them involved can really help. And you know, pen testers' expertise tends to vary. You've got people that are really good at Active Directory exploits. You've got people that are really good at certain operating system exploits. and hopefully your whatever pen test firm you're working with has a variety of skill sets on their team. But by involving them, like you were saying, you're also going to allow them to tell you what their strengths are, and so that really gets you the best value for your dollar when you're letting them test the things that they're best at.
I mean, I have had discussions with banks going, hey, I think we want to do a full SQL injection testing, find out what we're susceptible to, and you have one application running in SQL, so
Right.
what's the point? You're more susceptible to an Active Directory attack where somebody actually exploits a new user or creates a new administrative user and gives them full access to the network. So
Right.
yeah, I think we're on the right track on this. Well, I see where our time is almost up on this one, and I want to thank you for the discussion point of internal vulnerability testing and internal penetration testing, and hopefully that'll spark a little bit of conversations going on at the bank. Going, yeah, I think we need to maybe step up our game on our incident response plan.
Right. Right. Well, thank you so much, Jay, for your time. I really enjoy this discussion.
Perfect. Thank you.